Uranium Friends, CCJ, deep dive, multiple time frame analysis. Here we are on the monthly. So what can we see on the monthly? Well, 200-day moving averages and the monthly 12 EMA are kind of working in conjunction with each other as far as the moving averages are concerned, right? These anchored VWAPs are lost, as you can see in my previous video. With the weekly overview of a bunch of names. We're just coming out of overbought conditions. And now we're just kind of starting to test some fib levels and we're starting to test some volume levels. Now, what has occurred here is monthly consolidation, and it's strong, right? Because it's closing at the lows and the month is close to being over. Um, Reasonable to expect there might be a bounce incoming soon. I've already got my plan, and I will share it with you, actually, in this video as to where I think a good spot to be taking a shot at this is. But we're still on the monthly here, and we're still in monthly consolidation. Okay, monthly consolidation has begun. Um, you could say monthly consolidation actually began last month because it's actually the case, right? Because this low is lower than than December. So January monthly consolidation began, and February it's continuing and following through. Okay, so anybody should understand at this point that this is a little bit of a structural change for this particular leg up in the space for this name, right? So the next metric that you need to be looking at, because it's as clear as day, all right, is the monthly 12 EMA and the 200-day moving average. So around 38.21 is probably where our next metric is going to be, as well as this monthly support. So that's just looking at the monthly chart, all right? Um, Second month of monthly consolidation has arrived, okay? And you start to look at the behavior of the stock on the monthly, and it's averaging like 3 or 4 months each on consolidation. So is this abnormal? No. Is it perfectly healthy at the moment? It is, right? So if you're just looking at the monthly chart, second second month of consolidation, follow through and continuation. Weekly chart, did a quick one in the big weekly video, but it did take out this major level, right? Weekly double bottom. So now we're starting to look down in this area. What can we glean from the volume profile, even if we take a little bit more data and get it in here? All right. So, yeah, I mean, there is support starting to come down here into this 38 area, right? So, yeah, I mean, there's just a lot of chop here. Of course, the major support volume wise is down here. Right? We don't even want to talk about that right now. All we want to talk about is what do we have now? So you start to have this volume shelf pick up here again, right at this 200-day moving average and the 50-day EMA. So if you're looking, we've lost this metric, right? So we've lost trend. Well, we start to look where can we regain trend? Well, there's a lot saying that this level over here with this 200-day moving average, this structure here, and this volume structure, that's your next potential support area on this weekly chart that we need to be keeping an eye on. And that's all I'm doing. I'm not saying that it's going here. I'm not saying that I'm buying here. What I am saying is that this is the next level to be watching. Okay, so good secondary moving average support here. We'll see how it plays out. Now we go into the daily because the daily is starting to be. There's starting to a situation in my mind is starting to present itself for a potential bounce play. And by the way, I think that the whatever the bounce play is, it's going to result, in my opinion, the probabilities say it's going to result in a weekly lower high. That doesn't mean that that's the case, right? So something crazy could happen that just shoots this thing up another 20, 30%. Who knows, right? But that's, the most likely scenarios. Without a doubt, the most likely scenario is a daily lower high. Look at all the work that it would have to do to make a new daily high. There's no true pivot here. I mean, one could say there's maybe a pivot here, but not really. This is one move down. It's a pretty sharp waterfall like move down. No relief from this move yet. So where is there relief possibility, right? So we have this gap, and I'm just going to mark it, right? Just so we have it, right? So there's your gap. The gap starts at 39, and it goes down into 38.70. So you have a little bit of a gap here, right at this Fibonacci extension level. This is below here now. I can actually start. We're just going to leave the fibs here for now. It's an important level right now. So you have a gap fill at around 39. And I go back to this monthly and I look at where this 12 EMA is, the red line. Where is it? It's right at 38.39, right? So there's a setup presenting itself here because a daily oversold conditions into the monthly 12 EMA 200-day moving average looks to me like it's a pretty high probability setup for a decent bounce. Okay. Um, Likely it gets front run a little bit, especially with this gap here. So, I mean, I'm personally waiting for a gap fill in the very least, unless something different changes on a shorter term time frame. So when I say shorter term time frame, like I'm always watching the CCJ hourly chart. I'm looking for that trend change. No trend change, right? So here you had a nice bounce. I think I caught that and I sold the partial on it. I posted about it, blah blah blah. Okay. Then you had your higher low. So you had a chance an hourly trend change that may have been able to start the reversal process, but rejection and more of a loss. So this is kind of where I'm looking. You got a pretty decent bullish divergence in your RSI. I'm not an RSI trader. I do pay attention, right? So maybe I'll look at the 4 hour. What's the 4 hour doing? The 4 hour is still just continuing down. It's a 4 hour, 12 EMA rider on the way down. That's your resistance guide. This is your guide to say the bears are still in full control. And by the way, the bears are in full control of CCJ right now. There's nothing that says otherwise. Okay. When that changes is, in the very least, your first look into the fact that maybe the Bulls are starting to put up some sort of fight will be if it overtakes this 4 hour 12 EMA. So, the people who sit there and say you can't catch bottoms, well, if you can work your really shorter term time frame um, charts, you can catch bottoms. You're not going to catch them perfectly. Nobody can. The key is in something like that is that if it doesn't do what you need it to do, you get out, right? So that's what happens with short-term um, charts. You're going to be subjected to a lot of chop up. So, my strategy on things like this is just usually I'm going to take, like, if I'm playing this 4 hour chart, this 4 hour oversold bounce, just like this one was right here. If I'm playing that 4 hour oversold bounce again, I'm looking to cut half when I tap at this 12 EMA. That gets me risk free on my stop. Okay. That's a good, that's the way that I play these shorter term time frames, right? So bears are in full control of CCJ, regardless of the long term trend at the moment. The long term trend is actually perfectly, absolutely fine. There is no issue with this long term trend, even if we get months of consolidation. It's just the way it is. When we lose this level, this 35 to 38 level, you want to start to rethink things a little bit and saying that the Bears are having a little bit more control than we had anticipated. But that's the deal on CCJ with the multiple time frame analysis. Daily oversold into a monthly 12 EMA is likely a high probability setup for at least a bounce, right? And it'll probably coincide with at least a testing of the gap or a gap fill. Daily oversold, monthly 12 EMA tap, high probability play, especially with this 200-day moving average down here also. See how it goes. The thing, if you're not disciplined, it could easily go against you and you could get smoked, right? But we're starting to have some levels here and some structure here that you will be able to work off of as well. Time will tell on CCJ, but I've got my eyes out for the daily oversold bounce with the gap fill into the monthly 12 EMA, which is probably going to end up somewhere in the 39 to 37.50 area. That's the price range that I am going to be looking at for an attempt at an oversold bounce play on the daily. Over and out.